and Zoto agreed to never go to bed angry with each other. So far, they have been up for 3 days. Dr. T, you have to agree that's a great habit.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a very good one.
Although I suspect not handling it properly can end up in a nightmare like they are now, 3 days without sleep.
Absolutely. They've got to get it and set very realistic expectations.
Well, I can only hope that Temba and Zoto will be with us tonight so that they can find on this good habit that they are
both the good habit and also the habit of being
unrealistic habit that they have to try and effect a good habit. Yeah, which is a very funny thing. I like how you see it, Dr. T. Well, folks, good evening and welcome to Talk with Rams Live. I don't have to tell you who's in the house already. You know, you got your pen and paper, and tonight we're talking the power of positive habits towards your success. We are live on Facebook and YouTube, on all platforms. Please also send us your tweets on Talk with Rams 1, Talk with Rams 1, the number 1. Also send us your WhatsApp voice notes on 067 271 8239. We'd like to hear from you. We also hope that you have not forgotten to register for our seminar with Dr. T, which is happening next weekend. You don't want to miss it. The registrations are coming through. We hope you're going to be in the room with us because you want to be part of the winning team, which we are going to create through this platform. Also, hopefully, you participate in our survey to try and understand who you are, what you prefer, so that we can package our programming proper for you. Thank you very much for choosing to join us. Thank you for following us, for liking us. We truly appreciate you. Without you, this 30 minutes of powerful digital content. Dr. T, good evening officially. I agree with you, but you know, I suffered. Yesterday I played golf in the heat of the Northwest. I think it was 38 degrees. I just took a run now at 5 p.m. in Johannesburg. It was 32 degrees. So this time I'm physically dark and I'm not sure whether I'm lovely after consuming so much heat. But I can tell you, emotionally, I remain dark and lovely, which is a great. What do you think about tonight, Dr. T? You said to me earlier, some people have great intentions.
Absolutely, absolutely. And some have got good dreams, but bad habits. You know, some are gifted, they've got good gifts, but bad habits. You know, and so it's important for us to realize that the literally have got these ingredients called habits. You know, so successful people, whether they are people or family people, you know, have created a pattern of developing positive habits. And these in turn will cumulatively produce positive outcomes. So it's very important. Yeah, you can have, if you have good intentions but bad habits, guess what? Those bad habits will sabotage your good intentions.
As simple as that.
As simple as that, yeah.
Well, as we normally do, Dr. T, let's start with the dictionary definition of habit. What are we talking about here?
Look, there's three explanations that I'll give. The first definition of habit speaks of a settled tendency or usual manner of behavior. You know, this is where now you have a habit of running, you know, of taking a run every evening. Now that's a settled tendency. It's settled. It's a usual manner of behavior. You know, there are certain people that have got certain habits. You know, if it's at that time, that person, you'll find them there. If it's this time they're doing that, that's a settled tendency right there. And then a habit also can speak of an acquired mode of behavior that has become nearly or completely involuntary, you know. And so, for example, you know, I'm a very, very early riser. I mean, 4:30 in the morning, my eyes pop open. At most 5 o'clock, my eyes pop open. I don't have to, you know, to even set an alarm. I wake up. Now, it's now an acquired mode of behavior. That is completely involuntary. Subconsciously, my mental clock will always kick in. So I try to sleep early so that I'm very refreshed as I wake up early. The third approach to it, it's a behavior pattern acquired by frequent repetition or physiologic exposure, right? So this shows itself in regularity or in increased facility of performance. So you find that there are certain things that are automatic. Some people have a daily bowel habit, 5 a.m., whatever, So those things become almost second nature because they sit in our subconscious mind, because we become our habits, and so the lowest common denominator of your action and your involuntary frameworks, all of that is based on the power of a habit. It's really based on habit, and so habits are based on some certain things that I think we can get into.
Now, Dr. T, do habits make us ultimately who we become?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. When we look at habitual frameworks, one of the most important things that we need to understand is that you become more of who you are becoming. And it's quite loaded.
Very philosophical, if anything.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You become more of who you are becoming. So if you are waking up and you are exercising, you are becoming healthier. That's what it is, and you become more of that. If you are becoming self-aware and you are exercising, caution, you are being civil towards others, you become a civil person. If you are more grumpy and you are complaining, guess what? You become grumpier. So the concept, the habitual framework says you literally become more of who you are becoming. So you can't be doing one thing and then think you are becoming the other. You can't be disrespectful and then think you are becoming more respectful. And so the question for our viewers tonight is simply, who are you becoming? Because you are going to become more of who you are becoming. That's what it is.
So, Dr. T, one of the I would say overused lines that one can also call a cliche is that as a man thinketh, so is he. Is my imagination of the outcomes, is it that important?
Vision is driven by is what sets us apart as human beings. I mean, that faculty of imagination, animals don't have it. Otherwise they would have, gathered together and left town a long time ago and built their own cities. So we are unique because we can imagine, right? But your vision is driven by your imagination, whereas your outcomes are determined by your habits. So while you're what you can capture of the abstract world, what you actually do and what you actually become is a direct a result of your habits. The lowest common denominator of your results can be seen in your habits.
Wow. Wow. To the folks on Facebook, if you can, please switch to YouTube. We seem to be hanging on Facebook. Somehow Facebook Live is not doing us justice. We are live on YouTube or in Instagram. It's Talk with Rams on both platforms. How are habits formed, Dr. T? Do they come as one major, huge storm into my life? Or should I be patient because they come in small pockets, something that is huge in outcomes?
Right. Look, habits are always bite-sized. They occur in small quantities, but they influence the big outcomes. For example, you don't wake up with this huge habit that is now, and bite-sized. And we always say that everything contributes, in the Olympics. You've got to develop certain habits. And interviewing the South African aquatics team, and the coach then was an Olympian. I don't know if he's still there. I said to him, how do you bring out, Olympians? I mean, we've got amazing guys, like we had your Cameron Van der Bergs and all of these amazing swimmers. And he said to me, we have developed habits of doing what's abnormal. If you want to find that these guys go and they shine and they outcompete everybody else, and you think it's just natural gifting, but no, it has been backed by habit. One day wakes up, 4:30 a.m., jumps into the pool, does the laps. Little actions, they add up into the big outcomes that then the world celebrates. It's very important to understand habits are always bite-sized, but they influence the big outcomes in a very huge way.
Now, how do I do it though, Dr. T? I mean, to develop a habit of running, I didn't just do it. I mean, I had to look at where I am. I had to scope, where I wanted to run, where it would be conducive. Do those things matter?
Oh yes, absolutely. Remember, habits are based on paradigms. You see, because habits are behaviors. There are certain types of behaviors. And behaviors are based on certain paradigms. Paradigms speak of these windows or these frameworks through which we see life and through which we frame life. Now, the point about it is that to develop a habit, you must first develop the paradigm that supports the habit. For example, like you're saying, now you are running, but it's because you bought into the paradigm that your health is important. That's the paradigm. So that paradigm is the framework that then enables you to wake up on any day and you're not even looking at whether it's cold or hot, but the paradigm of health is the one that powers you in the direction of your habit. And so it's the same thing. To shift a habit, you need to shift the paradigm that supports the habit. Because these are the frameworks, these are the operating systems. I'm going to stop the habit. I'm going to stop the habit. How many times or how many people want to stop habits and they can't simply because they've not addressed the paradigms that support those habits?
Wow. That Dr. T is very valid.
Oh, absolutely. You see, because the quarters of behavior modification. Once you adopt a certain paradigm, you can move from a position where you are. In fact, paradigms are very, very important things, Rams, because good paradigms become the frameworks for good habits, and bad paradigms also become the frameworks for bad habits. In fact, paradigms, this term paradigm shift was introduced by a gentleman by the name of Thomas Kuhn, and he wrote a book called The Structure of Scientific Revolutions. And he speaks of the fact that paradigms, speak of a parting or a break with tradition, breaking with old ways of thinking and embracing new ways of thinking. In fact, when you get to understand the world as we know it today is built on certain paradigms, like the Newtonian, Isaac Newton, his model of physics was a clockwork paradigm, right? And then Einstein came with another paradigm, which was the relativity paradigm. So it is these paradigms that determine how we see things, how we understand things, and then how we act in certain things. Remember, the monarchy was a certain type of paradigm where the whole world for hundreds of years believed in the divine right of kings to rule, that there are some who were royalty and they had royal blood. And then, of course, then came a new paradigm of democracy, a government of the people, by the people, for the people. I don't know how effective it is, dictatorship, but these are paradigms that determine happen.
It was important, but Dr. T, in the space of habits, do they align? Should they be aligned?
Oh yes, absolutely. In fact, there's a gentleman by the name of Stephen Covey, a very, very powerful thinker. And
I met that guy, Dr. T. Covey. It's a moment I'll never forget.
No, brilliant man, brilliant author. And it's a very strategic thing. Concept of the character ethic versus the personality ethic when it comes to the concept of paradigms, right? And so the whole point about it is that values find that, in fact, about for the last 150 years, say probably since maybe the second, probably since just before World War One, the world used to function on the character paradigm, which was based on good values. And so those were the values where values of honesty, integrity, and everything else was actually pushed. And so people's habits came on those platforms. And that is why they would say, well, our basic assumption of human beings is that you are honest. And so you've got this self-checkout. I mean, I've traveled in countries where you walk into a supermarket and you do a self-checkout. You do a self-checkout because the basic assumption they've chosen to be good character, that you will exercise good habits of actually scanning everything in your own money and you pay, or you can actually take your groceries and walk out. I know that seems like a very far-fetched thing if it was tried maybe in some of our in some of our contexts here, probably businesses would lose a lot of money. But that type of thinking is based on the character ethic. People can build habits that are based on good value of it. Rams is the personality ethic, which is creating a certain image in front of the people, creating a certain image, which is not necessarily the core foundation of who a person is. And that is why you find people that have got amazing PR, out there. But then you hear, no, the guy is in court for this fraud, for that. It's because the personality ethic does not have the foundation of good character. It's got the foundation of good, must be birthed and must be based on good character.
Wow, so this personality ethic, Dr. T, is just a plastering over serious cracks of character behind that.
Oh, absolutely. Because it's about public image. It's about attitude, process of human interaction. And so it's we talk of the positive mental attitude, but on these good values that we're talking about. It's not based on good paradigms, certain outcomes in front of the people, and that is not sustainable. To make it, those are, we were talking personality ethics.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I personally get completely shocked. People that I have known and I've looked up to, I've respected, and I wake up and I hear that they've assaulted their partner or killed their partner, and you're thinking, not you? Then I know they were faking it. They were not who they are. But let's then talk about positive habits, Dr. T. What are those? What are positive habits?
Right. Positive habits, in fact, are those habits that are founded on good paradigms. The good paradigms then produce those types of habits, which then produce positive outcomes in our lives. I think one decision that we have taken, especially concerning this Monday motivation slot, is that we will add value into people's lives. So our paradigm is not necessarily to motivate in the sense of just getting people excited, but it's inspiring to transform.
Yes.
So we've made a positive habit of really dealing with issues that can help people. So that it's not just flaky talk, but really people can find help. So now positive habits then build on the positive paradigms. And let me share a couple of them. We might not finish. We might maybe do one or two today. It's fine. We can always come back to them. But let me just share some habits. One positive habit that really has got great outcomes in people's lives is the habit of being proactive, the habit of taking initiative. In fact, Henry David here says, I know of no more encouraging fact than And in fact, the word proactive is not a word that you find, because it's more than just merely just basically taking initiative. No, it speaks of the fact that we as human beings are responsible for our own lives, that our behavior is a function of our decisions and not our conditions. So when you become proactive, you are acknowledging the fact that I am in charge of my decisions. My behavior is a function of my decision and not a function of my conditions. I can subordinate my feelings to my values. I'm driven by values. That's why I was saying that wake up. I've been on a program now